Welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we have joined here with us in the class Celiac Sarah. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very good. We have been getting a lot of information about the upcoming TB recently. Number one, the fact that it's happening. And I figured that it would be a
Mhm.
really great time to have you on because you've been really proficient not only in the other TB that we've been having in Geonosius, but also Conquest, which is just overall general PvE content. So,
Yeah.
would you like to tell everyone what we're going to be doing here today?
So I think we're gonna do a little bit of speculation, maybe.
Technically,
Um,
yeah.
but also like just planning what we want to do because we know we're gonna have to have mixed teams for this TB, which is brand new. We've never done this.
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. We're gonna have to build mixed teams, and we probably already done them to a certain extent, but this is our speculation on essentially the top 5 teams that you could have
Mhm.
ready. They're also useful in other areas of the game for the upcoming TB. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So our first one is the Maul So Sarah, what do you love about the Maul Why are they a great mixed team?
I think they're just so strong. I mean, really, I think it's Maul that makes this
Sure.
team shine. Plus armor with her Beskar. But having Maul go crazy will hopefully be a benefit to just kind of bludgeon your way through these waves, um, depending on who our enemies are and all of that fun stuff in this. So I think this is going to be a good team for most people to use that also doesn't pull away from a lot of other
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah,
Because
you're
that's yeah.
Bogotan isn't typically in high demand. Like that's one of the things that I really that I really love about the team because she adds a stupid amount of survivability with her unique where they recover 20% or sorry, 8% health and protection every time a
Mhm.
Mandalorian attacks at a turn, and Maul is like, oh, we're gonna do that every single time.
He's just gonna go nuts. But and like I think it's just so important too, like you're saying, she's not in high demand. If what most of us are speculating is correct, some of us are thinking you pick a path this TB, but I think most of us are saying it's all of the paths
Yeah.
because they want you to balance your roster. So if you're not pulling from your light side and your dark side teams and mangling them to make them all DeLoreans, which most people aren't, then I think that's a perfect team to use.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If they do, and I think that'll probably come up in some of the later teams too. If we're going to be going pure speculative here, it might be best to just be making teams that really don't have or like aren't 100% tied into another team. We'll get to them in a second, but we have Starkiller up there,
Mhm.
and we're trying specifically not to pull from, say, JMK squad, who's probably going to be one of the only reliable 4 to 4s, and instead of
Yeah.
taking GK from him, we have old Ben. But yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm glad you mentioned that during this.
Yeah, I mean, I just really like Old Ben in general. I use him in the light side GOTV. I love his mind tricks and hopefully landing ability block. So I think that could be good for some control. I mean, then again, you have also Mara and Palpatine doing a lot of control too. So
I think you're going to need both, though. I think you're
Mhm.
right because so we just got a new way to advance our mod, which is super cool. It's a great update. But with that, I'm guessing that the new TV is going to, at least in the very beginning, is going to be set up or balanced for all the enemy characters to have 400 speed. So I don't think Palpatine and Mara's turn meter gain is probably going to be enough. You're going to need to have backup elsewhere, especially with old Ben's mind tricks or
Mhm.
even the failsafe of Visa reviving people.
Yeah, I think the initial run of this is going to be very reminiscent of when Lightside Geo launched.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean very much to that note when Lightside Geo launched, Relics had just came out and it was balanced for essentially maxed relics. I think in the same sense the TB is going to be balanced for max mods.
Yeah, that's a great point, which I don't think a lot of people are thinking about.
Yeah, and I think as you said before as well, like splitting your teams off, this is a really good combo. Have you ever tried to use Starkiller in DSTB?
No.
It's so sad, man. He doesn't do absolutely anything. It is kind of cool.
Aw.
You can still drop his ship, like you can still have fun with him, but he's
Mhm.
not like this terror that comes in and assists every time and then blows everyone up. Um,
Oh.
yeah, it was. It was one of the rather disappointing because I think I unlocked him during DSC. I was like, oh, I can't use them. And then I got in there. I'm like, this isn't Starkiller. Who are you?
Like, this is not what I bought. Uh, that's a little bit sad, actually. So this will be a perfect zone for him then.
Yeah, yeah, it will be again because going back to that theme of not only is it a good mixed team, but you're not stealing any of the other teams. And
Mhm.
speaking of which, a new team that I don't think we've had any experience with in TB in general. At least I haven't because it's already been kind of figured out. Is actually going to be Sortie. So
Yeah.
what are your expectations for Sortie and the new TB?
I'm I'm curious. I mean, I genuinely don't know how good she'll be in TB, but based off how her composition works, I think it's gonna be very easy to create a mixed droid team
Yeah.
and see if we can get that rolling. Um, it's just a matter of, like you said, how the enemies are tuned and whether or not that's gonna kind of like stop her in her tracks before she can even get going. But I think it's something to maybe keep on your back burner. I wouldn't say to like go and chase this right away. I would let someone else test it and see how it works. And if it's promising, then I think it's a good thing to have. Because again, you're not going to be pulling from a lot of other teams with her.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way to plan for this would be to get all her shards, get her to 7 stars, and then if needed, be ready to pull the trigger on the gear. Maybe not quite yet. I mean, she has some relatively good use in say GAC as well as Conquest, if that's something you're into. But I'm kind of thinking, and maybe I'm wrong here, that they will give a TB Omicron to one of these super underutilized droids, like maybe. Oh, actually, they already have Sarah. We didn't even think about this.
Oh, yes, they did. It's on IPD.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Okay. Yeah. So
Mhm.
this totally overlooked this. So Sortie, she can use dark side droids. She can't really use separatist droids, but she can
Correct.
use dark side, and this is a really good Omicron. I always thought the Omicron was useless for the record, just because
Right.
anybody who has 7 star Imperial probe droid doesn't need help in dark side territory battles. At least
Mhm.
not the recent ones. But yeah, this is really good. He gets to self destruct and always come back.
Mhm.
His damage is increased massively. Yeah, I think this could be a really helpful tool actually.
Yeah, so that's who you put with her. I can't believe we both overlooked that.
Yeah, because he gets to turn his protection into health, so he'll always
Mhm.
be able to have it. The revive apparently bypasses self destruct,
Mhm.
so I mean that's going to be a really good tool, especially with his target lock synergy.
Mhm. Yeah, that's gonna be really strong.
So, for everyone watching the video right now, the our IG just got demoted, and Imperial Droid, our Probe Droid, got promoted.
Oh, man, I don't even remember the last time I've used my Imperial probe droid, so that's gonna be fun.
I've never used them. Not I don't think in any. I think maybe one time a long time ago I had used them to clean up a gas in GAC when gas couldn't deal enough damage to kill my. I think what is that Gear 8 Imperial Probe Droid.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
a great option and similar to the other two teams we talked about with Mandalorians and Starkiller. I think you're going to have a little bit of freedom as to which characters you can put in. You're not going to be solidly locked into these exact 5 characters.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And our fourth team now that we've gone through the
Mhm.
first three, is actually going to be bounty hunters. So Sarah, you had kind of a lineup in mind for this. Why do you
Mhm.
think it's going to be so heavily, Grief, Mando, Bosk, Fennec?
Um, so I personally just I like Bosk there to kind of take the heat off of everyone with his taunt. Um, obviously, if Fennec does a ton of damage, you have her armor shred, all of that really fun stuff. And then I like Grief for his healing, so you can keep everyone alive. He's got his mass assist, and then Mando's disintegrate is going to be really helpful to just kind of make your way through those waves each time, especially if you know I'm only using the enemies that we know of right now from
Yeah.
our current TBs, but if you have something like Sniper Droid there or Droidica and you just want to get rid of them and get them out of the way before they hurt you kind of thing, I think that's going to come in really handy.
Yeah, again, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's all the pieces of the puzzle. You have Boss for
Mhm.
survivability, you have Grief for support and being able to get that turn meter going, and then you have Mando who can not just annihilate anyone, and even the characters. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some type of raid boss as well, kind of similar to
Mhm.
the Acklay. They can't necessarily be annihilated. In that sense, Armor Shred is going to be very, very helpful to be able to take those big characters down.
Yeah. That's gonna be a huge thing that you will be able to stack up theoretically.
Yeah, because you'll be
Mhm.
able to get 2, 4, 6 stacks, whatever it is, where whatever point it becomes pointless. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely very good. And then we have Dengar slot in here as fifth, not necessarily
Mhm.
because he's super great. Like there are probably some ways to sub out some other characters in there, but at the
Mhm.
very least, he just becomes a healer for the boss lead because he's able to throw out so many debuffs at once.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just gonna depend on who is going to work for your bounty hunters based off your roster and the other teams that you're doing, because we didn't really want to pull from Mandalorians. So
Yeah, Mandalorians I think are a little bit more
yeah.
limited. Like I would much rather take Dengar for a bounty hunter team than
Mhm.
sorry Prime take Gar Saxon instead of Jango Fett. Like that I don't I much prefer that trade.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, sorry. I agree with you.
All right, but last but not least, it's actually
Mhm.
not Jabba. We're not including Jabba in this list just because Galactic Legends, while Jabba's kit actually does exist today, I don't think that many people are going to have access to it. So obviously that's the true fifth, but the fifth that
Mhm.
we're going to be working with today for anyone that's going to be dealing with this content right out the gate that doesn't have access to him is going to be actually Beskar Armor Mandalorian, or whatever order that goes in. Sarah, what do you love about
Yeah.
Beskar Armor?
I mean, other than his birds and his damage immunity that he just pumps out a whole bunch. Uh those are the two things I use him for. I love stacking up his birds and just watching everyone fall over. Um, but then also just keeping your team alive when he's obviously not in his stance, and you can pump out that damage immunity to everybody or to whoever needs it.
Yeah, the damage immunity is definitely going to be, I think, a key factor because, again, this next TB we're guessing is going to be scaled to max mods. That's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of offense that they're going to be able to pump out, even for a really good. I know it's not technically a tank, but your active tank IG 11 or yeah IG 11 there, so that's going to be very helpful. And then I think another important component of this team, and he's not dark
Mhm.
side, he is light side, but is going to be dash. You're gonna need a decent amount of DPS outside of birds just to be able to keep the enemy team
Yeah.
under wraps, and I think he's gonna be essential for that. And Boba, what do you what
Mhm.
do you think about Boba as fifth here? Is he just filler, or do you think he brings a tangible amount of stuff to the team?
I like Boba. I think you're gonna be able to get ability block out there.
That's
You're
true.
gonna be able to, use his rocket and just pop someone off, especially if if anyone can be revived. That's gonna be really helpful to prevent a revive, if you can get it off. And then the other thing that I like about Dash as well, so you've got the ability block to kind of keep everyone sort of controlled with Boba, but then Dash is also going to be able to help you stun people too.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think this whole team is going to be able to help you control the enemy. Because I think that's a lot. Like you're saying, you're going to have the tuning of it to maxed mods, but if you can control them, that's going to be your upper hand.
Yeah, and I think again, similar to the bounty hunter team, you kind of have all your bases covered here. You do have
Hmm.
at a minimum two dispels between the execute and the stop right there. And the stop right there, that's Dash's stun.
Yeah.
It has a cooldown of 2. So you're going to be able to use that
Hmm.
pretty immediately. And the thing I think I like about Boba and Dash is they both go really well with Bam's lead of like the enemy. Whenever the enemy takes damage, you get turn meter. Let's see, where is that? It's like 2. Yeah, it's 2% turn meter for Scoundrel allies whenever the enemy takes damage. So Boba has this like super nifty thing where he's
Hmm.
constantly giving out dots. So not only does he have an AoE and like a double tap, but he's giving out damage over time. And where those damage over time procs, your team gets turn meter in the same way. Dash Dash's AoE, it hits all 5
Yeah.
enemies 3 times. So that's 15 increments of damage.
Hmm. His AoE is insane.
Yeah. So I think I definitely like you said, this team has a lot of control. The damage unit has damage. It kind of has all the pieces you need. And I think we'll probably be able to pump out a few waves until Jabba really takes its place and then just gets you your guaranteed 4 out of 4 because let's be
Yeah.
honest, Jabba's kit is kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just gonna be the, kind of kingpin of the mixed squads.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they're marketed to be, and I think that's definitely that's fine. We'll get to play with them eventually, and we'll suffer
Yeah,
in the meantime with my what is this Gear 8 Sortie or whatever.
right. She'll be fine in the new TV.
Yeah, assuming she doesn't even like get the privilege to be destroyed because there's an entry gate of Relic 5 or something like that. But
Yeah.
all right, Sarah, that does wrap
Mhm.
up the video for us today. For anyone who's watching, you can check out Celiac Sarah's channel. It will be both in the description, and I should be able to get a little alert thing that's above her head right now for her channel.
Cool.
Sarah, similar to the content we covered today, does a lot of heavy PvE stuff for Galaxy of Heroes, both with
Mhm.
Conquest, and a lot probably will be coming up in the following TBs as well. With that being
Yeah.
said, Sarah, do you have anything you'd like to cover before we head off?
No, I think we're all, well, maybe not all of us, but most of us are pretty excited for a new TV. It was long overdue, and I'm very curious to see how this is gonna work with roster balancing.
Yeah, it's true. Again, going back to the point of what is actually going to be the split. Are we going to have to do this? Or we're
Mhm.
going to be able to are we actually going to be able to put Cat with Bam because we don't have to run JMK somewhere else? Or maybe that's all irrelevant because, platoons. But all right.
True.
So, everyone, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe both here and over at Sarah's. And until next time, stay awesome.